A little too loud. Hello, Heather.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. Had a little
We'll
feedback.
get it figured out.
Yeah, we had a little feedback there. I had that going on a little too high. Okay, very good. I couldn't hear you, and I turned it up, and that was a mistake. All
Then you
right.
really
Well,
heard.
oh yeah, I really heard you then. Okay. Well, first off, it's good to see that everybody's still healthy and good over there in Intercounty. But as we were talking right before we came on the air, boy, there have been so many changes, haven't there?
There have been a ton of changes since the last time we met.
So let's talk. First off, let's just talk about the physical changes at Intercounty with the offices, etc. You want to talk about that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the first things that changes that we made here at the co-op was to keep both the members and the employees safe. We closed our lobbies. We started out closing our outer office lobbies, which was a little bit easier because they have drive-up windows,
Mm-hmm.
and business could still be conducted through those drive-ups. A little bit more difficult here at the licking office as we do not have a drive-up window. So we got the lobby set up with a table with some extra documents just in case someone were to come in and say maybe need to set up new service. Then they were directed to call in, and the employee that answered then could direct them to, say choose the yellow folder that says New Connect, and there's a form there, and then they could direct them on how to fill that out. So um, it's a lot different for us. We realize it's a lot different for our members too, especially our members that have been coming in the lobby to pay their bill every month for years and years.
A lot of the things
So
that we took for granted aren't so taken for granted now, are they?
that is absolutely right. Yeah. So so that's the main change that our members have seen is that the lobbies are closed. But beyond those lobby doors here in the office, we've made changes, well, both in the office and in the field, to try to make sure that we're spreading out, that we're giving each other more space. Um, our outside crews have staggered their shifts. Some of them are working 410. Some crews are coming in earlier so that they're loading up their supplies earlier and they're out of the warehouse before the next crew is in. We want to make sure there's not large groups gathering and around each other. So here in the office, one of the things we've done is to spread out. We've
Mm-hmm.
utilized the auditorium. As you might imagine, that's closed to the public too. So large gatherings would be the types of groups that would use the auditorium, and that's not supposed to be happening. So we've taken advantage of having that, and we've got desk space set up out there, and fortunately there's a kitchen and a set of restrooms back there, so those employees sort of have their own space, and it leaves more space in the original office for the ones that are left in here, and we can kind of spread out too. So
Okay, well, that's very good. You always want to stay safe, and it's nice to have that auditorium so close that you're able to actually do that and then keep things functioning. Let me, because of obviously the timing of this coronavirus coming through in March, we know the end of March there was supposed to be an equipment auction, and the auction
right.
had to be canceled. So, can you just really quickly explain to us that it's not that you took all that equipment and threw it all away,
No,
which you
we
did
did
not
not.
do?
We
So,
did not. We would not think about doing that. We did have to postpone that surplus sale, and what we've done, we've still just got those vehicles and that equipment. And when all this lifts and we're able to kind of, I say go back to normal. I'm not sure what the new normal will be, but
right.
once we're able to go back to somewhat normal, I guess I should say, then we'll reschedule that surplus sale. We'll let everyone know of the date. We'll put some ads in the local papers and let everyone know when that is. And then our well, not just members, but anyone, the public can come and look at those items and put a bid on those.
Okay, very good. So, but we have no idea when that's going to be. It's just when all this clears up finally, and there's no way of even establishing a date at this time, is there?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
No.
I wouldn't
I
think
mean,
so.
we could pick a date and set it, but the likelihood of that being accurate is probably very slim just
Yeah.
because like you said, we don't know when all this will lift or if they'll extend the stay-at-home order or what's going to happen.
Okay, so very good. So that is one of the things that changed over that March period. But also in the March period is when you determined your winners of your junior essay contest, and that had to be changed, didn't it?
Absolutely had to be changed, and I'd much rather see the surplus sale postponed than this youth tour program have to be changed. it's just one of those programs that's really near and dear to my heart. Well, Stan, we talk every year about how big of a deal Youth Tour is, and how the kids don't realize how big of a deal it is until they've won one of the trips and they've gone.
Right.
Then they come back and they realize. But so what we did for Youth Tour last time we talked about last month was that we had the top essays from each school.
Right.
And we mentioned those students, and huge shout out to all of them because they took that extra initiative to participate, to write that essay. What they were supposed to do the end of March was come to Intercounty office and go before a panel of judges. They were going to be interviewed on a set of questions about electric co-ops in general and Intercounty specifically. Well, we weren't able to do that. And we were kind of trying to figure out, are we going to postpone it? We don't have to have those names to our statewide organization quite yet, so maybe we can just hold off. Statewide, and actually, Stan, I hadn't got to mention this to you yet, but statewide has announced last night that they will not be doing the Youth Tour trips, not to Jeff City or to Cycle.
Wow.
So we still want to make sure we do something for these kids. We're working, staff's working here to gather some ideas. We're working with similar people at other co-ops to kind of see what ideas they have. Our statewide organization is, looking at costs and money that's there that we may have already paid, to put down for some of these trips. So
Sure.
we are definitely going to do something for these students. We're not sure at this time what it is. And to determine who the top winner is from each school has yet to be done. So we'll have to have a different process to do that. And it's just, it's different.
Yeah. And like we said last time when you were here, that all these kids are winners for participating, for going that extra mile,
Right.
and doing the things that they need to do. And it is unfortunate that they have elected not to do that. And I would always hope that, we would have control of this sometime by July. But,
Right.
nobody knows for sure. And you have to make these plans so far ahead of time that you can't assume that it's going to be open and ready to go. So, I mean,
Right.
I understand their predicament, yeah.
And Youth Tour, the trip to D.C. is in June.
Mm-hmm.
And as far away as that might sound, it really isn't. It's fairly close. And Missouri sends over 100 students, very large group. But once those Youth Tour kids get out to D.C., there's around 1,500 of them.
Yeah.
High school juniors, from across the nation that are gathered all in one place. So that's a very large group to get out and expect to be able to do things together. So, just it's unusual times. But
It is unusual.
If I had to guess, I would say we'll probably see the co-ops give these students scholarships that they'll be able to take advantage of after graduation, after their graduation next year. So we definitely want to do something for them, recognize them. It's not any fault of theirs that this year happened to be the year they were a junior and participated in the essay contest.
And
So,
and to reward them for entering the contest. I mean, because, as we've talked about before, last year you had one whole school that didn't have anybody participate.
that's right. And at least this year we did have at least one student from each school. And, Salem was one of those, unfortunately. But Martin Jones over there in Salem, I mean, at least Martin took that initiative and wrote that essay. So he'll benefit from that. And I can't tell you how right now because we don't know exactly what we're going to do, but we're definitely going to make sure that those students are rewarded for their effort.
A virtual tour. What do you think about that?
It might be fun. I mean,
I know it, but it would be pretty cool if they got to see what most of the students would see anyway, wouldn't it?
right.
If you could do a virtual tour like that.
One of the things we had talked about is would they be able to go next year when you talk about doubling up the size of that group.
Ooh.
If all the co-ops did that, you're looking at around 3,000 kids out there. There's just not space. There's not room to be able to house that many and do the same sorts of things out there. And not that it's fair for this year's kids, but next year's kids, you hate to see them have to compete with seniors the next year to win the trip. It's just, you try to do the best you can and make it as fair as possible.
And it's not always easy to book those times in Washington, D.C. anyway, because there's usually a lot of conferences that are going on. So getting hotel rooms and rooms available,
Right.
they just might not be there.
Right. That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
So,
And hopefully by June or July of this year that we will be somewhat back to a normal. And hopefully by next year, everything will be back to what you kind of said, the new normal. It's probably not
right.
ever going to be like it was, but I think we'll see a pretty good semblance of what it used to be, but there will be other precautions taken in there. We all know that. That's just going to
Oh,
happen.
yeah.
You know that. It's going to happen now. All right. So, well, we still want to congratulate all those juniors that did enter the contest, and especially those that were selected. And, whenever you find out what they're going to do, you let us know, and we'll pass that on.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll share that.
Okay, so one of the things that maybe the coronavirus did do, though, is it has put a lot of people online, Heather. And we always talk about our smart hub that you have with Intercounty that can provide so much information. No better time than to have that in place than right now, is there?
That's right. And that's one of the things we've really been pushing during this time is the use of Smart Hub. We've got that automated pay-by-phone line, and that's a great option for some of our members that maybe don't have great internet or
no internet.
or no internet. Yeah. So that automated phone line has been used a lot as well. But let me tell you, Smart Hub is the best tool you could have right now. It's a free app to download on your phone. So you just search for Smart Hub in your app store. You download that, follow the on-screen instructions to get your account set up, and if you want to access that on a computer rather than your phone, then you're just going to go to our website at ieca.coop, and you're going to click there to pay your bill, and it's going to prompt you to set up an account if you don't already have one. So Smart Hub, not only can you make payments through that app or through that portal, but you can track your payments, you can view how you paid, when you paid, you can view your usage history. You can overlay average temperature data with that usage history. You can contact the co-op through Smart Hub. So maybe it's something that needs immediate attention. Maybe you've got a power outage and you're reporting it through Smart Hub. Maybe you've got a security light out that you need to let us know of. Any number of things that you might want to contact the co-op for, you can use Smart Hub and reach out to us on there. It's been a great tool for our members.
And it's easy to download. But if you do have issues, and some people do have issues with an app or downloading that, getting it onto their phone or onto their computer, they can just call customer service, can't they?
Absolutely, yeah. So some of our employees, I didn't mention this earlier, some of our employees are working from home.
Mm-hmm.
They've got us set up so that they're able to do that. But even with some of the employees working from home, we are still fully staffed. So when you call in, even though our lobbies might be closed, when you call in, you still have access to everyone that would normally be here had all this coronavirus scare not been going on.
Junk. I just call it junk. It's
Yeah.
it's not fun at all. So again,
No.
Smart Hub's it's a great tool to use. It's easy to use, and everybody, if you've got access to a computer or even on your smartphone, I highly recommend doing it. And like I said, if you have any questions, just call that customer service line, and they can kind of walk you through it pretty easy. And what's that number, Heather?
Our toll-free number is 866-621-3679.
Okay, so we know we're in some crazy times, and we also know that a lot of people are out of work, and are being furloughed. I shouldn't say maybe out of work, but are being furloughed or laid off temporarily. And all of a sudden, we all know that the water bills, the electric bills, all those rent bills, everything still comes up and still has to be paid. Heather, is there anything Intercounty is doing in this crisis right now to help people?
Absolutely. So we're working with our members who are having a difficult time paying their bills. We realize that we have a lot of essential workers in our area, and let me tell you, we are thankful for those healthcare workers and those frontline workers that are really just taking care of our communities during this time. we also realize that we have a lot of members who have been laid off or, like you said, furloughed or, temporarily out of a job. If that's the case that our members have found themselves in, we've encouraged them to call in, let us know. We're going to make note of that on their account. We're not going to disconnect them for non-pay at this time. We're not adding any penalty amounts to the bills. So we definitely want to work with these members. We want to make sure that we're keeping their lights on. We are encouraging them to pay what they can as they can, just because we know once this is over and that full bill then is due, it's not a pass on your electric bill, if you will. Those bills are still the responsibility of the member ultimately.
Sure.
We're just kind of an extension on those at this time. We're not making them due at this time, but we certainly don't want to see our members come up when all this is over and have a huge bill that's due all at once and then really just be overwhelmed with that total. So we're encouraging, like I said, encouraging them to pay what they can as they can, but we're making sure that we keep the lights on for all our members right now.
But the key is, Heather, they do have to contact Intercounty Electric. You just can't assume that that's going to happen and not pay your bill, because that won't happen. Just call Intercounty, or can they do that on Smart Hub as well?
They can reach out to us on Smart Hub.
Okay,
yeah.
so as long as they get in contact with Intercounty and say, hey, look, I've been laid off. I don't expect to come back to work until maybe June. Just let you know, and then you can make that note on their account, right?
Right. And something else I want to mention while we're talking about these bills and having a difficult time paying, well, actually two things.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about Roundup, but first I really want to just give a, call it a public service announcement. I don't know what you want to call it.
Okay.
Scams are going to be popping up.
Well, they're all over.
We have to expect that,
Mm-hmm.
Especially with this stimulus money getting ready to come out and be deposited into everyone's accounts or checks being mailed. We know that these scammers, during normal times, they are trying to scam our members. So we know that they are going to try to be calling our members and threatening of disconnection or whatever their tactic might be. We just want our members to be aware of that, and please guard that financial information. Do not give your bank account information or your credit debit card information out over the mail. Listen to me, Dan. Over the phone. Don't give it out in the mail.
Well, don't get it out in the mail either, yeah. Or email.
No.
How about email?
Or email.
You meant email.
That's what I meant.
Yeah,
That's absolutely what I meant.
Yeah, okay.
But, it's sad that we have to think about that and realize that there are people out there that are going to try to scam others out of their money. But the reality is, there are people out there that are going to try to scam our members out of their money. So please don't let that be you.
Not a moment too soon said, Heather. There are people that are asking. I saw something this morning that people were asking if you want your money quicker from the government, download this app, and of course, it's phony. And they download that app and they fill out all the information that they give their bank routing number, because the IRS is going to send them that check. Only cost, it doesn't cost them anything. Mm-hmm. It's going to cost them a lot. But hopefully people will. You don't have to do that, gang. If you filed your federal taxes and you, on a refund, have already given the IRS your banking routing number, they already have it. Yeah, you don't need to do it again. If you haven't done that, you can go to the irs.gov website and you can put it in there. That is a secure site.
Only that website.
Yeah, only that website, not irs.com. You don't want to go to that one. That's not the real one. So irs.gov, and they actually have a little box in there. You click on that box and you can fill out your banking information that they can send your stimulus check to, instead of mailing that check to you. But if you don't want to, and if you're not in any big hurry to get that stimulus check, or maybe you don't want to get it till September because you'll spend it, it's going to be probably August or September before you get the printed check, go ahead and go to that irs.gov and do that, and just put that information there. But only that website, okay?
Yes, not some link on a social media site.
Right, and one of the things that we've also talked about that with Smart Hub and people prepaying their electric. Sometimes it's such an easy way to follow what you're doing, but prepaying electric right now, Heather, in these critical times, is there some exceptions there for those people as well?
Prepaid accounts are being treated just the same as our traditional billing accounts.
Okay.
So our prepaid members, when they reach zero to their account, if they are out of work right now and affected by coronavirus closures or job layoffs, then yes, absolutely, they reach out to us. They let us know. We're going to make sure that their lights stay on.
Okay, very good. So because that's a little bit different, I wanted to make sure we touched on that,
It
so
is.
those people would not feel like, hey, what about me?
Right.
You're in the same boat everybody else is, and so Intercounty will help you. But again, the key to making that happen is you must get in touch with Intercounty and let them know.
Right.
Very good.
Right.
Well, we do have another event that would be normally coming up in June that may be a little bit different than most people know. It's called the Intercounty Annual Meeting. That usually comes up the last Friday of the month of June. And Heather, we were talking a little bit yesterday. This could be a very different annual meeting, couldn't it?
It is. We've got April board meeting is the end of this month, so our board directors will meet and make a decision on how they'd like to proceed with the annual meeting. We're not exactly sure how it's going to happen. If I had to guess, I'd say it's going to be a modified meeting, and I might be wrong. So don't quote me on that. But
I know.
I think we're going to see a different format for our annual meeting this year, and I don't think our members are going to be surprised that we have to do it that way. But our bylaws require that we have an annual meeting of our membership, that our members vote on these bylaw changes and they vote on their directors, and we want to make sure that still happens. I think the format's going to have to be different. And how that's going to look exactly, I don't know yet, but we'll definitely make sure we let our members know. We can communicate with them through the Rural Missouri magazine. That, as you recall, or you might recall, last month we talked about the June Rural Missouri was going to be the official notice this year,
right,
instead of an extra booklet. So we'll definitely have information in there. We can always utilize our local newspapers to put information out. And then, of course, you guys at our local radio stations as well, we can share information with our members through there. So right now it's scheduled for Friday, June 26th at the Old City Park in Licking, and that's exactly where and when our members are expecting that to happen. And many of them have come for years and years, and they call it the Intercounty Picnic.
Exactly.
It's a large community event, but we're just concerned that inviting 24,000 people to the same place is, if that's a wise idea.
Yeah, and there may be, like you mentioned, a modified meeting, like a hybrid meeting. Maybe it'll be video streamed, and you don't have to attend a meeting. But maybe if all this Corona thing goes down in time for them to make that decision, maybe it would still be open to some people. Don't really know. But as of right now, you still have opportunity for vendors to still sign up because the meeting is still on as of right now.
As of right now, yeah. So, if you want to be a crafter vendor, absolutely go ahead and send that booth space application in. But don't be surprised if we have to send you out a letter or make a phone call to let you know that the meeting is going to be held a little bit differently and that we won't be able to have that crafter space. So
I think they'd understand that, and if that happened,
I do.
so wouldn't be a big deal. But a lot of people look forward, as you mentioned, it's called the Intercounty Picnic because there's so many things that go on at the annual meeting. From getting your blood tested, you can get that done, and there's all kinds of tents there with people showing different things, and just seeing your neighbors. I mean, that's always been a big part of it.
Right. Yeah, just that community, that sense of community, and getting out. And our members get to visit with each other, but we get to see our members. A lot of times we just hear their voices on the phone. We've got plenty of members that don't get out and come to the office every month. So it's an opportunity for us to get to visit with our members just as much as it is for them to get to visit with each other. So it's a little sad that it's likely going to be different, but we can adapt. We can change and figure it out and still make it work. And um, if we do change it and it's held differently this year, then we can still go back to the way it used to be the next year.
Sure, sure. And another thing that people may need to keep in mind too, we all know about the annual festivals that go on during the summer and the spring and even into the fall that Intercounty usually is a part of, and some of those may not be happening either, right, Heather?
That's absolutely right. And those are going to be out of our control.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to be our decision. But if those fairs are canceled or postponed or whatever, those fair boards, they're looking at having to make the same decisions that we're having to look at. So they'll communicate that with us and let us know, and then we'll know if we've got to boost space at their events or not.
Mm-hmm. So that's why I say a lot of times this face-to-face meeting with your friends from Intercounty, and you get to see the people, and they love to do that at festivals, and they like to talk about different things, that maybe issues they're having or maybe ideas that they've got. Sometimes you just want to do it person to person. They don't want to do it on the phone. They want to see your reaction and stuff, and that's very important to a lot of people, and I don't think that's going to change for a long time.
Yeah. And not just that, but I think a lot of times people think, oh, it's just an idea or it's just a suggestion. And they don't think to call in,
Mm-hmm.
They don't place a real high importance on it. But then when they see us at these fairs or these different events, they say, oh, yeah, I meant to tell you. I had an idea about, and then they share an idea with us. And I'll tell you what, Stan, that's where we get a lot of our really good feedback about
Mm-hmm.
what we're doing well or where we can improve. So we appreciate being able to speak to our members at those events, and we appreciate them being willing to share those ideas and suggestions with us. So we hate to think about not being able to do that this summer, but we don't know. We don't know what the summer's going to look like, do we?
No, we really don't. And it also is a time that I've heard before where people also compliment a lot of the employees of Intercounty and what they are doing, because a lot of times after the person's done, they think, man, they did a great job. But they don't want to get on a phone and call somebody. They want to really thank those people in person. And they can't maybe thank them, but when they go to those festivals, they see the Intercounty representative and say, hey, I just want to tell you that guy did a tremendous job on our poll or redoing that. I really can't say thank you enough. And that gets back to that person. And that's what's very important. People love that positive feedback, don't they, Heather?
They do, yeah. I mean, we talked about yesterday was Lineman Appreciation Day. Or actually, I don't think we talked about that.
We haven't talked about it. Nope. That's why I was leading into this.
Yeah, look, this is a little more difficult when we're just on the phone and not in person, huh?
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, yesterday was Lineman Appreciation Day, and we have got probably the most humble group of linemen, or I would say the most humble group of linemen out there. But they're not going to tell you they want a pat on the back or a thank you. But when our members praise them and tell them thank you or that they appreciate the work that they've done, it lights up their face. Mm-hmm. It really does. It makes them proud of the work that they've done, and I don't think any of them could sit here and tell me that they don't appreciate being appreciated. So, hearing those thank yous is important, and we wish we could have done more for our linemen yesterday on Lineman Appreciation Day, but again, this Corona stuff.
Yeah.
Changing all our plans.
Yeah, it really has kind of thrown a monkey wrench into a lot of different things, hasn't it?
It has.
Yeah, it really has. But people do need to be aware that Intercounty is there to work. They not only work for you, but they work with you. And remember, you're not customers. You're members. You are part of this group that is part of Intercounty. So when these things affect everybody, and it's not just one or two counties. This is everybody in the county area. It's everybody in the state of Missouri. Everybody's affected by this. So it's not one little single group you're singling out and say, well, we're going to give them an exception. It's everybody. And that's why Intercounty and all the co-op associations really are working to make sure that everybody is okay. And this is what it's all about. We work together, right?
That's right. That's absolutely right.
sometimes it's hard to put into words when people say, how do you work together like that? But, some, as you mentioned, some good ideas turn into reality, and also good deeds can turn into appreciation. And I think, a lot of people understand, and they may be put under the gun for a little while, but Intercounty will work with you, making sure that your electric stays on. And also, they're going to try and do everything they can to make sure that your annual meeting is there. Of course, they'll somehow, some way, will have an annual meeting. It just may not be in the way you're used to seeing it or hearing it, right?
That's absolutely right.
Heather, I'm out of questions.
Well, I want to touch on Operation Roundup real quick.
Well, you said you were going to do that, yes, but I was out of questions about anything else. Okay, so about today, Operation Roundup, you're going to give it all to me this month?
Oh, no, Stan.
Oh.
You don't get it all. That's
okay.
Not how it works.
Well, I was hoping, but no. But this is really a wonderful program that I'll tell you what, I was so proud of Intercounty years ago when they started this program. I know it's been a long haul to get it up to where it is today, but it just needs to continue to grow, doesn't it?
It does, and it is continuing to grow. And that really speaks volumes as far as I'm concerned about our membership and their willingness to help others and their generous hearts. So huge thank you to the members that are participating in this program, the ones that are rounding their bill up to that next nearest dollar. That spare change may not seem like a whole lot, but when it's put together with everybody else's, it really adds up. We've had a few questions from our members about whether or not Roundup will still be meeting during all this. As you mentioned, every month, the second Tuesday of each month is not only Intercounty's radio program with you guys there at KSMO, but it's also our monthly Roundup meeting.
Mm-hmm.
That format's a little different. They're calling in conference call for their meeting today, but they are still meeting and they are still considering and reviewing applications. So if you feel like you need to apply for Roundup funds, we now more than ever, there's probably situations that have arose where you could use a little bit of assistance.
Exactly.
There are applications available online. We can mail you one, fax you one, email you one. You can pick them up at the offices, either through the drive-thru or in the lobby here at Intercounty in Licking. But we will get you an application. You can send that in, and while that group may not meet like they normally meet here in the office, they are still making sure that those applications are being considered and taken care of each month.
Okay, but remind everybody, Heather, and I know you will because I'm going to remind you that you have to have that application in by the end of the month to be considered the next month.
Right. So today, the Roundup Committee will go over all the applications they received through the end of March. So any they received by 5 o'clock on Tuesday, March 31st, those will be considered at today's meeting.
Okay.
If you want to be considered at the May meeting, which is going to be Tuesday, May 12th, then you'll want to make sure you get your application in by the last day of this month, the last business day of April.
And you couldn't probably have a better program, especially at this time when people's lives have changed so much that they may be obviously in dire need of some help.
Right, yeah. And that's part of what our Roundup committee, when they were trying to decide what are we going to do, are we going to meet, are we not going to meet, and they realized that we've made changes here at the office, and we're not meeting in large groups either. We're utilizing apps like Zoom and GoToConnect meetings so that we don't have to all gather in one place. Your Roundup committee, they knew we've got to make it work. We need to consider these applications. We need to keep on doing what we're doing. So they're phoning in and they're going to discuss those applications, and there'll be checks written today and assistance for local residents that need a little bit of help.
Very important program, very wonderful program that, do you remember when it got started? I can't remember the year it started. Do you remember off the top of your head?
I was thinking it was like 2001,
yeah,
but that may be.
I was thinking it was around 9/11 sometime. It was after that, which was 2001. So, maybe that's what started. I don't know, but anyway, I just remember it's been about 20 years, and so, okay, well, very good, and it's just continued to grow. We want to continue to see it grow because those itty bitty pennies that, by the way, which are tax deductible,
They are.
Remember,
Yes,
don't
they
forget that. And by the way, if you did not know that was tax deductible, you can look at your January bill, and it will tell you on your January bill what your entire amount last year that you paid, and if you did round up.
Right. It's a charitable contribution.
Absolutely.
And you can deduct that absolutely just like you would any other charitable contribution.
Right.
And we are growing. You know, you talk about those pennies a day. There's not a
Mm-hmm.
whole lot you or I could do with, some loose change. But when you look at putting that together with almost 15,000, we're at 14,800 something. The last I saw, 14,800 and some accounts that are participating in Operation Roundup. That spare change starts to add up really quickly.
Well, heck yeah.
And that is the pool of money then that the Roundup Committee has to work with each month to be able to assist these members or these local residents that have turned in an application for assistance.
Right. And if that was an average of 50 cents per month per person, that's $7,400 that can be utilized by a number of people to help them in a crisis.
Right. And that you're able to do a lot of good with $7,400, where you or I would not be able to do a whole lot of good with 50 cents.
Or $6.
Or $6.
I mean, $6 helps, but you can take it off your taxes. Hey, that helps.
Every little bit does, doesn't
Right.
it?
And we do want to remind everybody, too, that Operation Roundup is just rounding up to the next dollar unless you are on a levelized billing, and then it's an additional $1 per month, and that would be the max you would ever pay is $12.
Right.
And that's still nothing, really, when you consider $1 a month.
Right, and because that $12 is over the course of an entire year.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. So, but most of us, I think mine was $8.15 this year. $8.15.
Oh.
Watch out, man! I'm telling you what. Probably get thousands back because of that. That in my IRA, but and it works that way very well. But we want to remind everybody that this is a really, really tough time of year right now for everybody. I mean, we're not talking about, again, one area of the state which has been affected by derecho or a flood or something of that nature. And we all know that we just had some horrible, horrible weather that came through in the southern part of, I guess, Georgia, Alabama, those areas out that way. And, here's the I guess the thing that we've all known is a lot of times in those times of crisis, Intercounty Electric and all the co-ops actually will step up to help their fellow electric companies. This is a tougher time though because of having to stay the distance. It's hard to get those foreign areas, I say foreign companies to come in or co-ops or whoever to get a good meeting together so they can coordinate things. It makes it a little harder, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
So when you got these emergencies with the tornadoes that have come through and decimated some areas, maybe a little extra longer for them to get the things back up.
Right.
Doesn't mean it won't send somebody, does it?
I was going to say, it doesn't mean that the co-ops aren't still there to help each other out. It just means we're regrouping and figuring out how we can best do that.
It's just this it is beyond, I guess to say the change in normal, we have to figure out what is the best way to approach it. And sometimes you have to make a lot of mistakes in finding that best way because you say, well, let's try this. No, that doesn't work. How about this? How about this? And then we finally arrive at maybe a pretty good solution. We're gonna book that. So the next time something maybe like this happens, we already know.
Yeah.
Sound like a good plan?
That is absolutely the plan. You put it in your tool belt and you remember it for the next time. And if it's a little different next time, then you adjust as you need to and go from there.
All right. So, again, thank you, Heather, for taking some time out today and going over with us. But, again, we want to remind everybody, if you are being affected by the coronavirus, whether it's your employment, whether you've been ill and you can't get out, and you're not going to go out because you're not feeling well, because you may not have coronavirus, but you're just not feeling well, don't go out, and making sure that you're taking care of as many people as you can. But, again, the social distancing has made things a little bit different. And so with a lot of the non-essential businesses being shut down, Intercounty understands this. They also know to apply to the farmers in some of these areas because right now, Heather, livestock's not moving. Nothing's moving. And so a lot of people are really in some dire straits, aren't they?
They are, and we've got a lot of members that are in really difficult situations, and many of them have called in and shared with us kind of what their story is, what they're going through right now, and we want to be able to be there to help them. So, like you said, please just give us a call, let us know so that we can make sure that we help take care of you during this time.
How about that number once again? So in case they missed it earlier, they're ready for it now.
Yeah, absolutely. The toll-free number is 866-621-3679.
Or if you have Smart Hub, you can contact them through Smart Hub, right?
That's right. Just open that app on your phone or log in through our website and send us a message.
Very good. Heather, as always pleasure to speak with you and get up to date on what Intercounty is doing. I want to thank you and everybody at Intercounty for the extra efforts. But it just does take extra efforts at times like this to get through these things. You're not in the norm. There's no way. You got the kids. They're having a great time. You're working.
We figure it out, don't
You
we?
figure it out.
But figure it out.
But there are adjustments that are made, and all of a sudden we're out of our norm, and it does take some getting used to. But hopefully everybody stays safe and healthy, and that's what it's all about. And again, we want to thank you for spending some time with us today and keeping everybody up to date on what's going on. All these changes definitely taking us all out of our norm in our reporting about our youth, the youth tour and everything else. But safety comes first, right?
It does. It always does.
Okay, very good. You have a wonderful day, Heather, and thanks again for calling in.
Yeah, thank you.